Okay, our next public speaker, we have Mr. William Bannell. Good morning.
Hi.
So I won't go through the procedure again. I'm sure you're familiar with it by now.
Before I go on the timing issue, I just need to ask permission if I could point out some things in the officer's report which are incorrect before I actually ask my question.
I think if you stick to the 3 minutes for all of your...
Well, I mean, it's just that I had my question prepared, and then looking through the officer's report in some detail, I did find there's 6 or 7 things which are actually incorrect. And I didn't think that it was fair if I should use my time to point out errors in the report.
I think it's fair if everyone gets the same amount of time, I'm afraid.
Well, no, I appreciate that as well. But the thing is that the officer's report is the only thing which is going to be relevant later on. And if there's things which are wrong in it and it gets challenged later, it will be the officer's report.
I think your views are also important to us as well.
No, I know. I want to share them with you. But the thing is that one of the things that I learned from going to the court last year is that time actually isn't.
Would you like to start the clock? Are you started?
No, I haven't started. I'm asking if I can go through some things in the officer's report.
I'm offering you 3 minutes to whatever, however you want to use that 3 minutes is completely up to you.
Well, I'm sure that there must be some kind of rule or regulation or law which requires the officer's report to actually be correct. And the members here haven't got anything else to go on other than what the officer tells them to say.
Absolutely.
And if there's things that are wrong, a member of the public should be able to come and point those out, because otherwise you're making your decision based on things which are wrong, are they not?
So you are absolutely right. We are relying on the, and I'm saying I would prefer if everyone stuck to the 3 minutes for fairness.
Again, well,
and to be fair, I think you've made the point. You don't agree with some of the points.
No, it's not that I don't agree.
I
It's that I can show that they are wrong. And that's why I wanted to point them out. And I think that everybody is deserving to see that. It is a public document. This is a public forum. This is an important public decision which is going to affect thousands of people's lives. And
I'm just going to bring Councillor Count very briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and I'm not sure where you're going with this, William. It is obviously fair that everybody only gets 3 minutes. However, there's a break coming up shortly. If I can meet you in that break, take on board those points. If I feel that they're substantial, I'll raise them with the officers before the meeting restarts, if that's okay with the chair, and then the officers can decide what to do about it. But I'm offering to meet you during the break, William, if that's okay.
Councillor Kindersley, this is getting a bit out of procedure now, but
thank you, Councillor Bradnam. So I'm happy for Councillor Count to make that proposal, but I don't think it should be with Councillor Count that the Speaker raises the issues. We've all had access to this report for a considerable length of time, so why the Speaker was unable to read it and submit his questions to officers prior, I do not know. Perhaps he'll share that with us in his 3 minutes. But I think if he wishes to raise them with officers in the break, that is acceptable. And then officers will make a decision as to whether the points he raise are worth bringing to the attention of the committee or not. So that is what I would propose, and I would hope that Councillor Count would agree with that.
Okay, I think I'd rather than keep dwelling on this, I would rather you just give us your views within 3 minutes, and I'm going to start the clock now. Thank you.
I did write in earlier in the week, and it was Nicholas, I forget his name. He said that I would be able to raise these. That was the impression that I got from him. Also, I'd just like to say that it is on the record that I tried to point these things out, and if this becomes an issue later on, it's going to be a lot harder for you to pretend that you did have an open mind during this meeting. So of course we've already seen the newspaper revelations last week, which showed the funding arrangement, which is obviously driving this whole thing, which lends support to the allegation of predetermination and bias. But there are other pieces of information which are forthcoming as well, and this tight time schedule that this has been put under hasn't helped, because obviously there isn't enough time to get all the information out properly and present it to the public, which would no doubt affect their perception about what's actually happening in Cambridge, and particularly in Mill Road. And there was some more information which just came to my attention very recently, and it was actually that the targets and the policy which has been driving active travel and the Mill Road bus gate has been written by policy fellows from Cambridge University. And so the picture that it looks like, that I can see, is that policies have been going from Cambridge University to the Department of Transport allocating funding to the CPCA back to this committee to close Mill Road Bridge. And I just think that the whole thing looks very, very interesting from a sort of outsider's point of view, trying to understand what's really going on. And this is just information which I have been able to bring out on my own using FOI and Google. But if all of this was to be put to a barrister and the barrister said, actually, hey, I think that there is something here, and then the barrister shoots off the pre-action protocol and he says, I want to see this, 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 I want to understand more about this, the council's going to have to comply under the duty of candor, and there's going to be no way to get out of it. And all of this information, which apparently you don't want people to know, or some people don't want people to know, is going to come out. And so I just, I wonder, is that really the situation which the officers have advised this committee to go in? On the point of further legal action or potential further legal action, I've been clear that these conversations have already started to take place. And there are people who are prepared to do another judicial review, just waiting to see how this goes. And my input has been to try to actually discourage this, to say the risks involved and the costs and stuff like that. And but the more I look at it, the more I see it, and the more I read and the more I find out, I actually see that there is a case to be made about predetermination. And so the question is, if you don't mind me just actually giving you the question, the important question, which you need to all ask yourselves, and everybody should ask themselves, including everybody here. This is the question that the judge will ask. It's called the Magill Test. In questions of predetermination, they say, would a fair-minded and honest, impartial observer, considering all the facts,
I think we have run out of time.
would they say that there is a chance of predetermination or bias? That's the question.
Thank you very much for that.
All right,
That's
thank you.
appreciated. Okay, before you leave,
Yeah.
I think we do have a couple of questions of clarification for you. So
course.
councillors Hunt and Hay, please, in that order.
Firstly, Chair, I think you didn't manage to spot the councillor next to me's have their hand up and wanted to talk to you, and she had to pull it down eventually because it got tired. So I think it would be courteous if you allowed councillor to speak. And also, I feel we should take a view on this particular committee meeting is one that's been called with an absolute minimum of notice to anybody. And it's had the second meeting this week of the Highways Committee. And clearly the group opposite me have gone to extraordinary lengths to get all their substitutes and everything in place. And I think therefore a little bit of flexibility from the chair to allow people to make what are serious, important points. And I mean, this £4.2 million is a significant issue. And I think we should, and of course you should do it for everybody. But
do we have a question of clarity for our speaker, please?
I urge flexibility, Chair.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Councillor Hay.
Thank you, Chair. As the gentleman in question was actually on the clock at the time he also mentioned the inaccuracies within the report, I would like clarity over what those inaccuracies are, please.
Thank you. Well, I found 6, and you've all got the officer's report with you, I think, haven't you? And you did say that you've all read it thoroughly, which is important, of course. Is that right? So the first point that I've got, if you just bear with me a moment.
If you could be as quick as possible, please. We do have other speakers to address us.
I know. Page 34. You've got at the top of page 34 on the officer's response here, it says there has been no procedural irregularities. All right, how you can say that there have been no procedural irregularities is amazing, because I just off the top of my head, I wrote down the other day, I could think of 8. And I could read those out to you if you want. Okay, so
I think if you could just stick.
No, I know. I see that. I understand you're trying to rush me, but again, this is an important issue. Okay, please. And to be fair to everybody, I know everyone's been given 3 minutes, but I'm actually coming in with new information here, and it's relevant.
Okay.
Thank you.
As quick as you can.
So the decision to actually pull out of court and then launch an entirely new TRO, which was essentially the same with slightly different wording, and a new consultation was all taken behind closed doors during the summer holidays without passing through this committee. That's irregular. The fact that all of you have had to change seats and this is a completely different set of people to the normal Highways and Transport Committee, that's very irregular. I don't think that's ever happened before, to my knowledge. On the website, on the web page of this committee, there are no names added to it. So there's no attendance list as well. That's irregular. It's just an unusual thing. Of course, there's no
Can we stick to
declarations
the
of
report,
interest.
please? We're talking about the
They
TRO
asked
report
me to point out some irregularities that have happened.
within the report.
Fine. So just to let you know that there have been lots of irregularities. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So the next point down here is on the same page. It's next to the bit that says economic impact on businesses. I was actually quite amazed by this, but it says it is important to realize that this was carried out during a time of incredible stress for the country during a pandemic, right? That's what it says. But I was careful to point this out, and it actually says it right there on the page next to it. Mill Road Traders conducted a survey during the 2019 closure, which showed a 30% drop of business. That's 2019. That's not during the pandemic. So the response to that is obviously wrong. And I just wonder how that's even there. Can we acknowledge this? Thank you. And then the last point on this page, it says the council has been transparent. It hasn't been transparent. All the things that have had to come out through freedom of information, the newspaper that just came out last week with the funding, this was not transparent. It has not been a transparent exercise. I'm sorry, it hasn't. So go up to page 6. Just a couple more. Sorry, Chair. I know that you're trying to run on, but again,
if we
this
could
is
be quick,
important.
please.
I'm being as quick as I can, I promise. 3.4 at the top of page 6, it says the matter is to be considered afresh and no weight should be given to the previous decision, right? But look up there at page 5, just above it, you've gone into quite keen detail about the 2022 consultation, which was what was used to justify that decision. The 72% of respondents in favour, right? Now, at this point, I'd like to include an omission from this report, something which has actually been left off, is that more recently than this, there was a petition which ran from the 9th of August until the 13th of September, so last month, which gained 1,650 odd signatures, specifically saying no to the TRO. And that's more people than is represented in this number here. And so I just think if you're going to be shown this statistic, you should also be shown this one next to it. Don't you think? And because if you're going to cherry pick the data which you include and siphon off the rest, isn't that the definition of bias? As decision makers, you need to have all the facts available before you make your mind up. Is that not right?
Thank you. Is that the end?
Well, there is one more thing, if you don't mind.
Briefly.
And this is, I suppose, just more of an, I think it's important for people to understand actually what happened at that court case for their knowledge.
I don't think that's particularly relevant to this, what
Well,
we're looking at today. So I'm not
It's
going to allow
it's
that.
in the officer's report.
I'm not going to allow that one.
Just
But thank you very much
please.
for speaking. We do have other questions for other committee members for you.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens there. I've got Councillor Slatter, then Bradnam.
Thank you. I may have missed it because there has been a little bit of talking over going on, but all the other speakers explained who they were, gave us their names and who they were representing. I would appreciate that from you, please.
Thank you, Philippa. Sorry,
Councillor Slatter.
Slatter. My name is Will. I have businesses here in Cambridge. I have been part of the group Friends of Mill Road Bridge, which did take the council to court. And I've become, because of that, very knowledgeable about all the ins and outs of it. And my interest is basically seeing things done correctly and lawfully. And I mean, I have an eye for detail. This is sort of a hobby that got out of hand, really. And it just turns out that when it comes to these legal issues and looking at these things, I'm actually quite good at it.
That's fine. I think you've answered the
To be
question.
honest,
Thank
if
you
I
very
just
much.
I just wanted to make this one point before anybody gets me
No, I
wrong.
think you've told me what I needed to know. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I just
Fine.
wanted to know.
Councillor
Thank you.
Bradnam.
Thank you. You've said that you produced a petition, but it doesn't look as if it was submitted to this committee because it did not come up under item 2 of our agenda. And I think that would have been a shame. That's a shame. It would have. I don't know why you didn't submit it for this.
I can give you the answer to that as well. It turns out that the council have got a policy. I forgot the name on the number of it, but basically petitions which are specifically to do with TROs get dealt with in a different way. And so when the petition closed last month, we received an email with the results and things, basically saying that it would be taken off to the side and considered by the officers and it wouldn't go to the committee.
Okay.
Now, that's not
So-
my
So
fault.
we have received the petition. It's just dealt with in a different format.
Yeah, and it wasn't
So-
included in the officer's report.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for giving us your views today.
Thank you.
And we'll move to our next public speaker.